I'm glad to have you here in Vienna at the Vienna Comic Con. What does it mean for you to come to such conventions?
Well, but you're going to hold that, right? You can hold that. The sort of best part of it, frankly, selfishly for me, is just being asked to come to different cities all over the world and see. I've been to Vienna twice now, and both times it's because I've had Harry Potter associated conventions. So it's allowed me to come and see the city and have a nice few days here, and which I might never have got round to other than that. So that's the kind of, I mean, the event is fabulous and really well organised. But the sort of most exciting part, I think, for me is just to come to the place altogether and see a new city and meet new people.
So you said you have been in Vienna yet, so
yeah.
What's your opinion about the city?
It's great. I've had some great food here, some great schnitzel. I've been to see the Freud Museum and been to see some Klimt. And actually, the last time I was here, I was with a friend who's an architect, so he was able to give me quite an expert tour of certain buildings and things. And yeah, it's just that famously so, it's an absolutely beautiful place.
You're well known for your role in Harry Potter. Do you remember how you get it? How you started to train for the thing?
Yeah, I mean, I was 17, so yeah, I just got an agent in London after leaving school, with the help of Alan Rickman, obviously beloved as Snape and many other roles, and the first audition I had was Harry Potter. The first audition I had with that agent, I'd been working all through my kind of teens. And for me, unlike a lot of the kids, because I already had a big agent and I'd already worked, it was very straightforward. I just got the scenes to learn, went and met the casting director and read them with her, and she liked that, so I went and read them with the director, and they were like, right, great, part's yours, kind of thing. So a lot of the young people in the films had to go through these kind of long, kind of open casting call kind of processes where it was hundreds of people and then whittled down and whittled down and whittled down, and eventually. Before they got as far as just having these sort of intimate meetings. For me, it was probably the easiest job I ever got, actually, really, which is kind of funny to think, but yeah, just went in, met the people, got the gig.
How was it to film the whole thing? Like, because the cast was really big, and often if you hear some interviews, everybody says it was like a big family. Do you see it the same?
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty small part, so I wasn't there for a very long time. Although it takes a lot longer to film a small part in a film of that scale than it would on anything else. So I was sort of, I mean, I still made a lot of friends and got on well with everyone, but I was sort of slightly detached from it because I wasn't going to classes with the other kids because I'd already left school. So when we weren't shooting, I was just doing my own thing. And then also I left quite soon, so I didn't grow up with the rest of them. Talking to friends of mine like Devon Murray or Alfie, and of course Dan, Rupert, and Emmett as well. They were there from they were 12 years old until they were kind of in their early 20s, and they really all grew up together. So I didn't really have that experience because I just went in. I was quite a bit older than them, and I just did a couple of films, and then I was gone again. But yeah, it's great to have all these old friends that to this day I'll fly to Paris and spend a couple of days with at a convention or something like that. That's another great thing about the conventions is it kind of keeps me in touch with other actors that I really like, but kind of in normal circumstances wouldn't get to see very much of. So that's pretty cool, and it's this global extended family now because of that.
After these big fantasy films, you did a lot of other films yet. How was it to do such different films?
Well, it's Harry Potter was the different thing. I've been working in film and television and theatre since I was 10 years old. So doing smaller things is just what what I've done for most of my life. Like that Harry Potter was the blip, because I've never been involved in anything else that's a franchise on anything like that scale, or even just a film of anything like that sort of budget. So to go back to being involved in different and smaller projects was just going back to the day job for me, you know, because nothing else ever was or is ever likely to be again quite like doing Harry Potter.
What would you say was the most important film for you, for your career?
Oh, that's tough. Because there's been...
Are there two or three? You don't have to choose the one.
I've played sort of small parts in big things, and I've played much bigger parts in small things. There was a British film that I did in my early 20s called Cashback, which at the time of its release pretty much sank without a trace, didn't get a lot of publicity, didn't do a lot of business, but has since, thanks to like the latter days of Blockbuster Video and then now on video on demand services, has really found a sort of cult following. And when we've had the premiere, it was like there was hardly anyone there, and there were hardly any journalists there or anything. But then 10 years later, Empire magazine, which is a big film magazine in the UK, organised a screening of it, and it was part of a series of screenings they were organising for films that they thought of as kind of undiscovered gems. And it sold out, and apparently, I wasn't there, but the director said that the front row was all people dressed up as the characters from the films and mouthing along with every line. So we had no idea that this little film that we'd made, which hadn't done particularly well, has done well, but just slowly over the years, and now it's this kind of big... And now probably as many people come up to me and say that they loved Cashback as say anything about Harry Potter, which was really unexpected. And it's not a bigger deal in terms of what the film itself is, but in terms of my part of it, I'm very much the leading role, kind of carrying the film, and it's much more of a character sort of stretch than doing Potter was. So that's arguably proved bizarrely to be a real kind of a standout moment in my career. But I've been very lucky, you know, like at least once every couple of years since I was 10 years old, I've been involved in something that's been a really amazing and unique experience.
Can you tell us something about your next plans, your next films?
The last few years I've been working mostly in theatre, and I spent most of this year trying to produce a theatre play, which eventually lost funding. So unfortunately, I've been doing that. So I've not been filming anything. So there's nothing in the can at the moment, unfortunately. The only thing I can say to people to look out for at the moment is an audio series. I did a Big Finish Doctor Who spin-off series called Jenny, the Doctor's Daughter, with Georgia Moffat, who's a good friend of mine, and who very sweetly insisted that they cast me as her companion when they were asking her to do her own series. So that's out now on CD and download from Big Finish, and seems to be going really well. So we're going to do more of those next year, I think.
You told us before that you also played in the theater. What is, in your opinion, the biggest difference between playing on film or in theater?
The money. Film pays the hell out of the bills, as Will Smith once said, and theatre really doesn't, unless your name's on the poster on a kind of huge commercial tour or something. But or you're a panto star, I suppose. Some of those people that, you know, are known for something in telly and then they go and do pantomimes, get paid an inordinate amount of money. But from a performance point of view, just it's radically different performing to, you know, anything up to, well, in my experience, anything up to 2,000 people in a room. Obviously, it can go well beyond even that, and having to communicate what you're doing to people, you know, 300 yards away at the back of a hall, and having to communicate to that thing that's there and is picking up every eye twitch, and then from the point of view of what you take away from it, radically different. Because giving a live performance is something that, if it's going well, is completely amazing, and film, there's nothing in film that's comparable to that. But then it's gone, and you don't get to keep it and people don't get to come along years later and experience it again. By the same token, if it's going badly, it's traumatizing, but then it's gone, which is a good thing. And film, it's the opposite. It's like if it's good, you're happy that you've got it there and it won't go away, and you can use it and it can find new audiences forevermore. But if it doesn't go well, if it's not very good, then it's still there.
Last question. As you are still very young, if you can choose one, like, comic character, which one would you choose to film it?
To play? Oh, a comic character? I've never really read comics.
Or a fantasy character?
Oh God, that's a good question, which I don't really have. I've not really thought about. I mean, for years I always fantasized about playing James Bond one day, but I don't know. I'm not as passionate about that idea as I used to be. I don't know. I sort of don't think about it like that. I don't sort of have a preconceived idea of what I want to do. I just sort of, when possibilities come along, if I like them and think and feel like I can do something interesting with them, then I'll go for it. And if not, I won't. I'll back out of the running. But actually, I do have something. I'd love to play a character called Zachalwy, who appears in a couple of Ian M. Banks science fiction novels. If they ever get round to, which I think they should, if they ever get around to filming the Culture series, that would be amazing to get the chance to play Zachalwy. I don't know what that's going to mean to many of your viewers, but
I think I will have to Google it.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I wish you a well stay here in Vienna.